Hi everyone, a quick video to talk about how to analyze a model quickly, model, dissertation, or thesis quickly. So I'm using ProQuest Open Access Dissertations and Thesis, and I'm going to go there and I'm going to type in education for my search term, significant education actually. And I found one that I thought was very interesting for a number of reasons, so I thought I'd use it. Okay, let's first look at how do you find the claim of the person who wrote your model. What's the claim? How do you find it? Well, you start at the bottom generally. These are written in all kinds of formats, but generally, the last little bit's going to be the claim. In this case, it's the researchers believed that all students have the ability to accelerate learning when teachers are encouraged and given freedom to create and implement innovative teaching practices in their classrooms. Now, this is a dual or joint dissertation, which is one of the reasons I chose it, because that's really unusual. Most universities, or frequently universities, won't let two people work together. So the fact that they did makes this an interesting model to look at. All right, so their claim is that students who have the ability to accelerate will have the ability to accelerate their learning when their teachers are encouraged and given freedom to create and implement innovative teaching practices. So both teachers, the evidence, both teachers used action research to study their instructional practices. One used qualitative data and one used a mixture of qualitative and quantitative data. And one studied critical thinking skills and to aid science concepts, and the other used innovative model of intervention to aid students' ability to transfer learning from one instructional setting to another. Both really good and very diverse, interesting ways of studying the same idea in two different formats. Okay, so our claim is that you can accelerate that learning if the teacher has support. The evidence was set in two different places and found in two different ways. And the warrant seeks to answer the question, can learning be accelerated when teachers are supported and encouraged to create and implement practices grounded in research? And so the warrant is they had their research or their work grounded in research. They put it out there, they measured it, and they found support for the idea that they were bringing forward. So is it significant? Well, it's significant in a couple of ways. It's significant in one way just because there's two of them taking the same question from two different points of view, and that's very interesting and unusual. And it's also significant in that everything we can do to accelerate learning is always a significant topic of conversation. Now, how would we analyze it once we got into it? So when you're analyzing a model, the first thing you do is you open up the table of contents, and then you look to see whether and to what extent the headings lead you into the parts that you think you're going to see. So I think I'm going to see stuff about accelerated learning. And the headings that they give me, they talk about the purpose and rationale. That's probably just what we read. There was a statement of purpose, or other people call it a problem statement. And then they looked at how each of them saw the concepts they were studying and how those concepts got across the two people and the two researchers, coming up with the one research question. So a nice, clean, short way, I think the whole thing is a page, to introduce what they're doing. Now, this is going to be different than probably your school or rubric requires. which is again why I chose it. So now we want to jump to the methodology. And for that, before we have a methodology, we need to understand what is teaching innovation, because if that's what we're studying, we need to have it defined. We need to look at the participants we're going to study and how data were collected. Generally, in a finished document, this one also looks at how data are analyzed. So that's kind of an interesting miss here. But then between their introduction and their methodology section, we need something that ties both sides together. Okay, so the introduction is forcing its significance on the idea that these cross-cutting concepts between the two people and the two studies are key. So those cross-cutting concepts need to be discussed in the review of literature. The idea, especially with one of them studying how you can increase critical thinking, then is how do those cross-cutting concepts merge or go together with critical thinking? And then the second one, how do they go together with perseverance and motivation? So it took the whole thing together, and then it divided them separately, and then that led us into the methodology. You'll see the models go up and down as to how much their argument shows up in the headings of the different chapters. That will vary a lot. As an outside examiner for universities, I would say err on the side of making your headings very concrete to your argument and what you're trying to say in each chapter. Give a little away in the headings rather than just say purpose and rationale, which is the way most people do it. You might say something that indicates what that purpose is, or etc. Whenever you can, give your examiner a heads up on where they are going when they just look at your table of contents. Thanks.